Greetings viewers, Eric the Car Guy. Thanks for tuning in today. In today's episode, I'm going to cover what's called gasket matching. And for those of you not familiar with what gasket matching is, it's when you take two engine components, say an intake manifold and a cylinder head, and you use the gasket as a template to basically machine away the metal to make sure that there's a clean, smooth transition between those two parts. This is not to be confused with porting and polishing, although the processes are similar. This is really just to create a smoother transition between those components for better airflow and possibly better power. Let's get started by talking about the tools I used to do this on my 383 stroker in my dad's truck. Here on the bench before me are the tools that I used to get this job done. First, I used a valve spring compressor, a good valve spring compressor. I have two of them shown here, but the Harbor Freight one that I got just didn't have the oomph to undo the stout valve springs that I had inside these cylinder heads. So I got a different valve spring compressor that I'm much happier with. I will link that down in the description. And the reason why this is important, if you're working with cylinder heads in particular, you're going to be creating a lot of metal debris as you do this work. And you're going to need to clean all of that out before you do any kind of reassembly. So I removed my valves, both intake and exhaust, and the valve seals. I replaced those as well because little metal bits can get embedded into that rubber, and well, I don't need to tell you that that's not a good thing. So completely strip everything bare because you know that there's going to be metal bits everywhere. Next up, I have the die grinder. The die grinder is going to be an important component to this. Now the one that I have here is just a straight die grinder, but I added something to it. You'll probably notice this air regulator that I've got in the back of it. And this is super helpful to help you dial in the speed. Because as you work, the more control you have, the better. And if you're trying to throttle everything with the trigger, you could probably get away with it, but it's even better if you can regulate the air going in and keep it at a consistent RPM as you work. Because one wrong move and things can go sideways. Anyway, I just used a straight die grinder like this one. I suppose you could also use an angle die grinder. However, I found using the straight one to be, well, the best for me. And this air regulator, super helpful. Now, I do realize that this particular die grinder does have this little dial here, which in essence does the exact same thing as this valve here. I wanted to mention this because if you have a die grinder that doesn't have one of these adjustable air regulators like this one does, that it is possible to add one to it. So that's the reason why I brought this up. To go with that die grinder, a myriad of tools. We'll start with the cutting bits. Now, the cutting bits that I have here are for ferrous metals, so they're for cast iron and things like that. But I was sometimes working with aluminum, like with the cylinder heads and the intake manifold, and those require a different type of bit. And if you'll look here, you'll see that this bit is for non-ferrous metals such as aluminum and working with those. And this bit is for working with ferrous metals. You can see that they have a different profile. I got away with using the ferrous metal bits on non-ferrous metals. However, you know, right tool for right job. But if you want to save some money on that, basically what I did is this. As I worked, I soaked the bits with WD-40. And in doing so, it helped prevent the bits from getting clogged up with the material that I was cutting, the aluminum. Otherwise, it would have gotten all gummed up. You can also use soap for this, like just get regular ivory soap and take the bit and basically embed as much of the soap down inside of it as you can, and you can work with that, and that will help it from getting clogged up as you work. I mostly used this guy when I was doing gasket matching because I liked the nice straight line that it had that I could use. Now, a bit like this with a rounded tip, I think is good for going inside of like holes and things and basically making them, you know, sort of rounding them out and changing the transition with those. Lastly, we have this other like straight guy here. And similar to this other straight bit that I've used a lot, it can make straight lines. So really, I think it's going to be a matter of personal preference when it comes down to what bits you use for what you're doing. But for gasket matching, what I mainly used was this bit here. This, like I said, gave me nice straight lines and things, and worked very well. After the cutting bits, the next step that I took was using these cartridge rolls that you see here. So I got basically an assortment of these cartridge rolls, and they work with the die grinder in the very same way, and you install them on the ends of these arbors. Take one of them like this, slip the cartridge roll on the end of it, and away you go. So that's a cartridge roll. They come in a variety of sizes, and like the die grinder bits, like the metal grinding bits, they come in different lengths. So you can choose what length is appropriate for whatever it is that you're working on. So after you've got the shape roughed in, I went back in with the cartridge rolls and smoothed things out a bit. Next up after the cartridge rolls, I had these little polishing bits that go onto, also similar to what the cartridge rolls run onto, this little bit here. And these would screw together, and I used this for polishing. So this was like the final finished work that I did with these. And I have a couple of different types. I have these blue ones, and I have these red ones, and they're just different abrasives is what they are. So one is more abrasive than the other. In fact, I think this red one is more abrasive than the blue ones. And that will dictate what type of finish you get. You might want to get a couple of boxes of these if you're doing like a full set of cylinder heads, because these go pretty quick depending upon what you're doing. But if you clean things up with cartridge rolls, you should be good to go. Last but not least, I want to talk about the supports for the cylinder heads. And I also ended up using some of these for the intake manifolds. Now you'll see in this shot that I was able to put the cylinder head on these cylinder head supports, and this is so helpful. So if you are going to do this work, I strongly suggest you get a set of these supports. I got these two different styles. Now the one style only holds the cylinder head in one position, and that was great for, you know, finishing the surface of the cylinder head. But as far as the actual gasket matching, these guys right here, these V-shaped ones, were invaluable. And part of the reason is because I could set the cylinder head in a variety of positions to basically dial it in to exactly where I wanted it to be as I worked. That was super helpful, and it can keep you from getting fatigued. And a lot like welding, positioning is everything with this. So if you're positioned correctly, you won't get worn out, and you'll be able to be more accurate in the cuts that you're making. And we certainly can't leave out one of the most important tools for this: safety glasses. Now let's talk about the actual work itself. Job one is going to be to prep the parts for the work that you're going to be doing. If you're working on a cylinder head, as I mentioned, you want to remove the intake and exhaust valves, also any valve seals, or basically anything that's in that cylinder head that can collect any type of debris, so get rid of that stuff. Next up, I went through and I cleaned the mating surface for the gaskets, and I want that to be as clean and as flush as possible. After that, I went in with this stuff is often referred to as machinist blue, and this is sort of a dye compound that you mark around the outside of the area that you're going to be working on. And once you've marked it, the next thing to do is to take the gasket, lay it over the top of that area, and center the gasket. This is super important. This is your template. This has got to be the same on both components that you're trying to match up. You want to be sure that it's going to be identical on both parts. So I use the bolts for the cylinder head and intake manifold, and use that to help center things up. Once I had things centered, I went in with my scribe. So that with this scribe here, I just sort of traced around the inside of the gasket, and that gave me basically the template that I was going to use for what I was going to cut away in order to gasket match the two components. And then I started with the actual work. As I said, I started with this sort of triangular bit, this straight triangular bit. And I just went in, and what I noticed was, remember to soak things down with WD-40 or soap or whatever it is, and that will help prevent things from getting clogged up. But the main takeaway here is, I call it butterfly kisses. You're gonna get there, and here's the other thing. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, The Incredibles, but they're flying into the city off the rocket or something like that, and the kids are in the back talking, and Dad says, "We'll get there when we get there." Well, this is my mantra as I'm doing this. You don't want to like press really hard on the metal as you work, because that will cause the bit to sort of skip around and possibly cause you to screw things up. So you want to avoid that. You just want to go little bits at a time, just little bits at a time. It takes, trust me, this takes forever to do. In fact, I think I spent a week on the cylinder heads and intake manifold and everything. Well worth it in the end, but if you take your time, that's great. And the other thing is, when you're doing this work, be aware that there's coolant passages and possibly bolt holes and other things that you can machine into. So the slower you go, the less chances you have of messing things up. So take your time with this and work carefully. Here's another tip that I can give you, especially if you're new to this like I was. don't start with the aluminum cylinder head and the critical components, if you will. I started from the exhaust and worked my way in. In fact, I took the exhaust headers and did those first, and I was actually properly using the bits at this point because this was actually cast iron or steel. So I went in and I gasket matched that first just to get a feel for how the tool worked, just to get a feel for, everything in general. And then when I moved to the cylinder head, I didn't start at those openings of the intake and exhaust. What I did is I went into the oil returns and I smoothed those out first. Once again, to familiarize myself with the tool and how it worked with the metal. And by that time, I was confident enough to head to the exhaust ports, and I started once again with those. I consider the intake to be critical. Not that the exhaust is not, but the intake, getting that right is really important. Getting the exhaust close was really my goal, and I ended up doing pretty well with that. And by the time I moved over to the intake, which, as I said, I consider a bit more critical, things went a lot more smoothly. I was more familiar with the tools. I was more familiar with how things went. So just pace yourself and maybe start with, like I said, with the exhaust and work your way into the intake if you're working on a V8 similar to what I did. This process will work for 4-cylinder engines, anything that you want a gasket match. After I went through and got the area cut out the way I wanted it, I went back in with those cartridge rolls and I smoothed things out. Smooth those transitions. After that, I went back in with the buffing wheels and I polished the exhaust runners. I didn't do the same thing to the intake. I wanted my intake air to be, a little bit turbulent. That helps with, the way it mixes inside the combustion chamber. But I polished the inside of my combustion chambers, I polished my exhaust runners, but I didn't spend as much time on the intake runners. I just made sure that those were smooth and a good transition between the two. When you're all done with this work, I used the pressure washer and I pressure washed everything. If you don't have a pressure washer, you're gonna have to wash and wash, and compressed air is going to be your best friend as well. And get every last little bit of metal out of all of that stuff. And when you put it together, hopefully everything is matched up and gives you better performance. As far as the performance I think this might have been worth, 10, 15 horsepower, maybe more. But this is the free horsepower thing. This is freeing up horsepower that's already there. But once again, be careful of things like water passages and everything like that. Don't go too crazy. All you're really doing is making a smooth transition between these components so that the air flowing through it doesn't have any major obstructions to it. And that should make your engine run better and should give you more power. I hope the information in this video was helpful to you, and give this a try. Maybe go to the salvage yard and pick up a cylinder head or something like that just to play with, just to get a feel for it. This is one of those things that experience is going to be your friend, but experience is one of those teachers that can sometimes be a bit unforgiving. So you might want to practice on something that's, non-essential. And then once you feel you're proficient, move up to something that's, something that you're actually going to use. I felt I got great results. In fact, I'm going to do this with every engine that I get from here on out, because I have all these tools, and I am actually going to get the non-ferrous cutting bits so that, I can see what that's like. I hope this information was helpful to you. I will put additional information down in the description, including the links to the tools and things that I used and other information about Dad's truck and the 383 that's in it, if you're interested. I'm also going to put a link in the description to EricTheCarGuy.com if you have automotive questions not covered in this video. Thank you so much for watching today. Be safe, have fun, stay dirty, and I will see you next time.